Hi, my name is Elliot, and today I'm going to be the chronically online gay that deep dives into Chris Olsen's career. So Chris Olsen got canceled earlier this summer for like doing nothing wrong, and I thought it would be interesting to kind of go over his career evolution because he's the only TikToker that I feel like has been relevant since the beginning, which is when lockdown started. The only other one that I would say is relevant now that was in 2020 is Addison Rae, but like she's not relevant for like being a TikToker, she's relevant for like being on like the Sweat Tour. And yeah, with that I'm just gonna dive right into it. So Chris Olsen was born on December 22nd, 1997, exactly 4 years after Meghan Trainor, and grew up in Chevy Chase, Maryland, which is right next to DC. And yeah, for like the first 10 years of his life, it was very normal. He went to like a religious elementary school, but his mom was like, if you're gay, it's okay, sweetie, when he was like 2, because she clocked it. And he was like very involved in like musical theater and shit like that. And he had like very like picture perfect family, going to church every Sunday, having a mom that's like really, really involved. And then in 4th grade, he transferred to an all-boys school called the St. Albans School of DC, which is like one of the like top like high schools in the nation, one of the biggest like Ivy League feeder schools. 4th through 6th grade were fine, but then in 7th grade, everything kind of started falling apart because one, he was the only like gay kid, wasn't out in 7th grade, but like the only one that was very like feminine and like loud and like boisterous personality and like going to musical theater camp every summer, like that kind of vibe. And at the same time, his mom was realizing that she was an alcoholic and drinking a lot more, so his life kind of started falling apart, like, and went to rehab. So he kind of was like, okay, I kind of need to like get out of this situation, and move from Maryland to Massachusetts to go to a performing arts boarding school. So he started there in January 2013, halfway through 9th grade, and he started having a lot of gay with upperclassmen and much older men that were not in high school, and then was in an abusive relationship where his boyfriend tried to murder him, drinking heavily, just like, yeah, high school wasn't like the best. After he graduated high school, he kind of started realizing he had a drinking problem. He ended up going to like a rehab facility for 30 days, but one that wasn't like super real or helpful in his opinion, and kind of this, like the second he got back from rehab, he started drinking again. And then in the fall of 2016, he started at the Berklee School of Music in Boston, also majoring in musical theater, so musical theater is a big ass fucking theme in his life, clearly. And in 2017 was drinking more and more and more, couldn't go to sleep without drinking, and realized he had a problem. And then in September of 2017, his best friend called his family, and they ended up all having an intervention for him. So yeah, so he went to rehab for a year, and he had a much better grasp on life. He was now sober, and he is still sober 6 years later, which is awesome. Throughout that school year, now that he has an addictive personality, so now that he couldn't no longer like fulfill his addictive personality with alcohol, he started fulfilling his addictive personality with getting like attention from men. He started taking some more like risque, scantily clad photo shoots, started growing a little bit on Instagram, and then that summer of 2019, he met Ian. And then at the end of the summer, or you can watch their like how we met story if you want to know, but at the end of the summer, they like kind of started dating.
I was like, do you want to be my boyfriend? And he was like, no.
Like in September of 2019, right after Ian moves to LA for 3 months when Chris is still in Boston. For the first 6 months or so, they are long distance, and then the pandemic hits in March of 2020. They end up quarantining together in Florida, and then in April of 2020, Chris uploads his first ever TikTok. So yeah, it's just like a cute video of them doing like some like push-up like challenge. I don't know what the fuck to say. And now that Chris has a boyfriend, his addictive personality switches from alcohol to getting attention from men to now just like blowing up on TikTok as quickly as possible. So he starts uploading literally in April of 2020. By June of 2020, they have 200K. By July of 2020, they have 1 million. I would say the main reason they blew up really quickly was that Chris Olsen popularized the making my partner like react or like talk about something.
Can you put a shirt on?
Does my body offend you? I'm okay being shirtless over here. I was fine. It seems like you have a problem with my shirt off, but I don't have a problem with it. So I'm gonna have to stay in my place of power with that. Is it causing you distress at all? Unless you're bleeding, I wouldn't call it that much distress. So I'm gonna keep my shirt off because it's 87 degrees outside and I'm warm and I'm cooking. Do you know what? I'm gonna keep my shirt off because it's my house, which you are a guest in.
And when he would make Ian talk or react, it felt pretty authentic because Ian clearly like loves to monologue. And they were also like the first major TikTok couple for like older Gen Z millennials to like obsess over. Like we had like the like Bryce and Addison and like the Charlie and Chase, but that was like for kids born in like 2004. I feel like Chris and Ian were the first couple for like straight white girls born in like 1995 to like obsess over. Okay, so now we need to pause right here because I need to address like something else that like really fucked up this entire video. Chris got canceled in the summer of 2024 for literally nothing, and he like deleted all of his TikToks or like privated all of them. So like there's a lot of like I saved so many of his damn TikToks that I was gonna like insert throughout the video, but I can't now. There might be like sporadic inserts or something, or I'll have inserts for some and not for others, so whatever. So yeah, throughout 2020, most of the content is still couples content, and it's mostly Chris like making Ian talk or react or do things. So as we move into 2021, they still are definitely making couples content together, but Chris is definitely becoming the star of the two, which wasn't the case in the beginning. Ian was much more the star, and it was much more like Chris behind the camera, as opposed to now Chris is becoming more of like the main girl. His first video that goes viral on his own, he posted in February 2021 about him being depressed but fine. Also at this time, they started a YouTube channel where they just posted like cute like couples content. It wasn't anything like groundbreaking, but it was like fun and like cute to keep up with them. And then yeah, throughout the rest of 2021, they're still making couples content together, but Chris is becoming more and more the bigger star. Chris dyed his hair in the summer of 2021. I thought it looked good, and he gets a lot of like attention and like followers through that and stuff. So yeah, Chris is starting to become gradually more and more of the bigger star. And towards the end of 2021, things start to seem awry within the relationship. Chris and Ian go to Italy in November of 2021, and then they don't post anything else on their YouTube couples channel. And then throughout November of 2021, they don't really post anything together. And then in December of 2021, they like basically soft launched their breakup by posting this TikTok.
If you want my body and you think I'm sexy, come on, sugar, let me know.
With the caption bestie vibes, and everyone's like, oh, why is the caption bestie vibes, girl? Like, what, is everything okay? Like, the very last TikTok of them as a couple, they posted at the very end of 2021, is them like in couples therapy.
I feel bad that you feel bad about me, think bad about you, think bad about what I said about what you said about me not being able to share a feeling.
I think it's very fitting that one of the things that they bonded over initially was both their loves for musical theater, and their last content they posted together as a couple was musical theater TikTok. And the very first week of 2022, Chris and Ian announced that they have broken up. I know I personally, if I were Chris, I would be worried that the very like first 2 years was basically about like me being in a couple. Am I going to be able to like survive on my own? Like, besides Chris, I can't really think of any couples channels in social media that I can think of where after they break up, one of the two really becomes like a big star. Someone give me an example in the comments below if you can think of one. So anyhow, they break up. Chris enters what I like to call his interim era. He's doing a lot of different collabs with a lot of like different like random TikTokers, trying to like high-key like stay relevant, and just like hanging out with a Duolingo bird for some reason, because like what the fuck. He starts making a little bit more scripted content where some people kind of start to dislike him. Or he doesn't say it's scripted, but you can kind of tell it's scripted, like the jokes that like he's making. He's recording therapy, but I'm like, are you actually recording your therapy sessions? And like the therapy sessions that he's recording, the things that happen in it, I'm like, this would not happen in any like normal therapy session.
Sit back, and this is what
Chris.
happened.
Hi.
You know that has to come off before we start the session.
Yeah. Am I a pretty crier though?
That doesn't matter.
So that's a no.
I'm not saying like he's a bad person or whatever, and I like feel like the grand majority of TikTokers have like scripted content. But beforehand, even if Ian had kind of an idea of what was going on, it still felt pretty authentic. It started to feel less authentic with newer people that he was speaking to. And then he would post some TikToks where I was like, you are not like this stupid.
I'm also so glad that everyone speaks English here because I literally don't know British. What? So, like, I don't speak British. I only speak English, so I wouldn't know what they...
But British isn't a language.
What?
Oh, another thing that starts happening this time is that Chris starts like clearly lying. Like, he made a joke that he was Uncle Chris to like Abby's kid, and people were like, oh my god, you're siblings, and like went with it, and it was like a joke that like they're sister and brother, but like lying isn't like a joke, that's just like a lie. Yeah, in March 2022, Chris posts an Instagram story saying, thinking about Meghan Trainor. Chris had actually DM'd Meghan once before, and she just like didn't respond. He posts that, and then Meghan DMs him, like responding to that, and they like are dating back and forth. And then he's like, oh my god, sister, I love you. And she's like, oh my god, sister, I love you. You should come to my podcast. He's like, oh my god, yes, I should. Yeah, when he and Meghan first meet up, he makes a TikTok delivering coffee to Meghan, and then he goes on her podcast. I'll go back to the podcast of Meghan Trainor in a bit, but after this starts kind of his like pop culture era, where after delivering coffee to Meghan, he delivers coffee to Austin Butler at the Cannes Film Festival, Jojo Siwa, and then after that, each celebrity starts getting bigger, where it's like Tom Daley, Ashley Tisdale, Dylan Mulvaney, Sabrina Carpenter, Noah Centineo. I hope I find like any of these clips. And then at the end of 2022, he delivers coffee to Kamala Harris. So yeah, now back to Meghan Trainor. So when he comes, they make a like couple of TikToks together, and they really clearly seem to have like a lot of chemistry. They make a joke where they've been like best friends since childhood and post like a doctored photo. Again, like lying isn't a joke. Like I don't understand what he thinks like a joke is. And then he goes on her podcast. The podcast is fine. I listened to it only for like the sake of this video. They clearly have a lot of chemistry and generally do start to become friends. And then at the end of the podcast, they do like the whisper challenge, and something happens. It's like a narrative for like the rest of his career that I just kind of like want to talk about it. I feel like I haven't really seen anyone talk about it. They do the whisper challenge, and then Megan asks,
Are you bottom?
Am I a bottom? Megan! You're not supposed to ask questions like that.
Pancakes
Yes.
and then a couple weeks later, they post a TikTok of Megan getting him this. And it's just something that like kind of really like has left a bad taste in my mouth. There's already a lot of bottom shaming in the gay community, and that's like an issue within the gay community. Not just Chris, a lot of other like gay influencers that have become like more mainstream.
I actually was thinking about like how nervous I was to see you today.
Why?
Chris, you're just like one of those like pretty bottoms, and it's just like really intimidating, okay?
What makes you think you're not a pretty bottom? You are. Say it to yourself right now.
I'm a pretty bottom.
Loud.
I'm a pretty bottom.
One more time.
I'm a pretty bottom.
I haven't heard any of my gay friends
I've
use
never
this
heard
phrase.
this from any gay person. No, ever.
And like as a bottom, no, I'm just kidding. But like no one's gonna get someone like a top necklace, you know, like that's not funny. It's only funny because it's like the receiving like more feminine position. So like gay men making fun of bottoms is rooted in misogyny, but then like also straight women making fun of bottoms is like even more misogynistic because like you're not even gay. So it's like, what are you doing right now? So anyhow, Megan and Chris start becoming very good friends. He definitely is like on her payroll as her like social media assistant or whatever, but there is some like genuine friendship there. At least it feels like that to me. Like he's on tour with her right now. I feel like he wouldn't be doing all this if he genuinely did not like her and they genuinely like didn't get along. So Chris starts really like promoting a lot of her songs. He's in the Mother music video.
Meghan Trainor! You're a pop star. You're an icon. You're the moment. What other words are you? That's it.
He helps get like Mother and like Mr. America like as trending sounds on TikTok and stuff. He's basically like the TikTok social media consultant. And Meghan Trainor's music is very like broadly appealing to like white Americans. Her music it's giving like Target in Tallahassee, like Sears in Springfield. And yeah, throughout the summer, he's really helping Meghan Trainor like completely revive her career. Like genuinely without Chris Olsen, I feel like we all just would have like left her in 2014 with All About That Bass, you know? They're just posting TikToks throughout the entire summer. At the end of the summer, he goes to the Harry Styles concert where he holds up a like daddy poster and Harry confirms that he is daddy. I guess I don't really like know about that part. Like I didn't care, but I feel like that's relevant to put in. After like the Halloween like daddy like viral moment, plus like Meghan Trainor's like complete renaissance of her career, the entertainment industry as a whole starts realizing social media really can help reinvigorate someone's career. But not even social media, is like specifically TikTok with like trending songs and stuff. Like that's kind of what launched Doja Cat's career. So yeah, towards the end of 2022, I feel like the music industry as a whole realizes how much TikTok can be used to start people's careers in the case of Doja Cat, or reinvigorate people's careers in the case of Meghan Trainor with the help of Chris Olsen, kind of getting some of her songs as like trending sounds, that he starting to get into like mainstream like entertainment, like Hollywood media kind of shit. He's basically the human version of if the celebrity can't get on like Hot Ones or Chicken Shop date, they'll just like do a TikTok with him. He starts moving into more mainstream pop culture by delivering coffee to people like Jessica Chastain, Penn Badgley, Kris Jenner, Kerry Washington, Katy Perry, Emily Ratajkowski, and finally J-Lo. So the first week of 2022, Chris announced that he and Ian broke up, and the first week of 2023, Chris announced,
I've had chlamydia 3 times, and the stigma.
And then all the straight girls that follow him are like, yeah, that's not really relevant to his career, I just like wanted to put that in. So then yeah, throughout the rest of 2023, he's just collabing with more mainstream artists like Darren Criss and the Jonas Brothers. He flew to Australia in March of 2023 to see Harry Styles with Meghan Trainor, and then makes another joke that he's dating Meghan's brother. He'll do these like lies to the internet to like maintain relevance and like get a story popping, which like other influencers do it, but like when it's like so obvious when he does it, it's like, bro, stop. So yeah, in 2023, he's invited to the Oscars, he's invited to the Grammys, he's invited to the Cannes Film Festival, he's going to like on the Eras tour. He's very much just like mainstream, like white gay, like Hollywood, like woo! Also being like the token social media person at like all these events, like the Grammys, like the Oscars, like the Cannes Film Festival, etc. In the summer 2023, he starts dating his second official like public boyfriend, this guy named Patrick Johnson, which like, who is he? Like I could find like nothing on him. This is my question, like a lot of like influencers or like people that like celebrities date, like Patrick was able to go to like Argentina just like on a whim to go to like the Eras tour with him. Do these people that like date these influencers and celebrities, like do they have jobs? Like are they also, they're not also I mean the ones that also aren't influencers, like do they, like how do they have all this time? I don't understand. So yeah, they date for like from some point in the summer up to like November of 2023. Like I said, they go to Argentina for the Eras tour, and then right after the Eras tour, they break up. And I feel like Chris, like if you want to stay with your boyfriends, like don't go on international vacations with them, because you and Ian broke up right after Italy, and then you and Patrick broke up right at Argentina. So just like stay in America, okay? Also that summer, he wins the streaming me for short form content, which I feel like was very well deserved. So then, yeah, as we come into 2024, it's still kind of the same shit from 2023. It's a lot of like award shows, press events, concerts. It's like a lot of like mainstream Hollywood stuff, basically just like, yeah, the go-to like social media gay for Hollywood. And then in July of 2024, inspired by Brooke Schofield and Clinton Kane's dramas, he posts this Risa Tisa style like Who Did I Marry video about his boyfriend that tried to murder him that I mentioned at the beginning of the video, which I wrote in my notes, like it's really interesting and everyone wants to watch it, but like it's deleted now. So like if you can find it somewhere, I recommend watching it. But it's a very interesting tale about abusive relationships and how like 15-year-old girls and gays can really be taken advantage of and be in really abusive relationships, and straight guys too. I don't know why I said girls and gays. So yeah, so then after like the Risa Tisa style story that he posted, he starts getting like a lot of hate for like no real reason. It just like he enters like a clapback era because all these people keep being like, I never liked him, unpopular opinion, they fucking hate Chris Olsen, but like just like going off about him for no reason. But like the biggest hate with him is that like he's annoying, and like yeah, I do think he's kind of annoying for like the things I just talked about like earlier in this video. But I'm like, if the biggest issue with someone is that they're annoying, they're a pretty great social media influencer. I feel like every single social media influencer besides like Emma Chamberlain has to be a certain level of like fake and annoying in order to like maintain relevance. Like you have to be like at least a little cringy. But yeah, so throughout the month of July, there's a lot of like hate building up of just people saying like, I've never liked him, I've had him blocked for years, but then him being like, if you have had me blocked for years, but I can see you commenting that, obviously you haven't blocked me, bitch. But then like the hate kind of starts becoming bigger and bigger as he's like clapping back harder and harder. Like, you know, if like they're bullying you but you're feeding into it, then like. And then yeah, in August of 2024, some nude photographs are leaked of him from when he was 19, kind of like a revenge porn thing, which was like really bad and really horrific, and he like is not able to handle it that well. And like he posted TikTok of him like crying, kind of responding to how he was taken advantage of when he was 19 and was forced to take those nude photographs, mostly against his will, which was, yeah, just awful, and I highly recommend watching that. I feel so horrible for him. And then after that cancellation in August, he takes a step back from the internet for about a month and also deletes basically all of his TikToks. I'll say personally, I feel extremely horrible for him that happened. I can't imagine being forced to take nude photographs against my will and then that like haunting me for like years and years on end afterwards. So yeah, I just think it's a really sad situation. I feel really bad for him and highly recommend watching the Call Her Daddy podcast with him because it kind of explains a lot and it's a very interesting story. We get to see a lot more of his upbringing and work out a lot of research for this video. He left the internet for about a month and he came back. He has now privated his spam account. All of his like private account is called like Club Chris and only like the cool, like fun, positive people are allowed to be in it. I've always enjoyed his spam account. I have thought like a lot of that stuff in there was really, really funny. What I complain about on the main account about him being like kind of scripted and a little bit annoying, I don't really feel like that way on his spam account at all. I feel like his spam account is just him and like his ADHD like brain just like saying whatever comes to his head, and genuinely I do find it funny. And I do still find a lot of his main account stuff, or I mean I did, but now it's all gone. It feels like now he is able to come back into social media with a much more like healthier mindset to it, because now he kind of like knows how to do this and approach this a little bit better than beforehand. He was doing it well beforehand, but you could really see in the summer of 2024 how like all that like hate was getting to him. But it's literally just like the internet like wanting to like deciding to like tar and feather, like pick on someone. All in all, I will say I'm glad he took that month-long break, because from April 2020 to August of 2024, I feel like he never really like didn't post for longer than like 3 or 4 days, and I cannot imagine being on TikTok basically every day since the pandemic started. Like I would go fucking insane. And he wasn't just posting TikToks, he also had like a Flight Fuel coffee company. He was like working with Meghan Trainor. He was like going to the fucking Oscars. He was running like other accounts too at some point. Like I genuinely do not know how he had all like the time and energy to do all that kind of shit. He's a very fucking hard worker clearly, and he deserves it. He like became a millionaire off of that. He moved into an apartment that was not Alex Cooper's old apartment, but like in the same building. Yeah, he has just become wildly successful, and I think he really, really deserves it, because staying relevant, like I said so many times, for 4 years on a platform like TikTok is like, that's even harder than staying relevant on YouTube for 4 years, you know? So the biggest takeaways from Chris's career that I want to talk about at the end of this video are, so Chris Olsen helped bring social media into the very mainstream. I feel like since the pandemic started, basically all celebrities are influencers, like even Beyonce, and Chris was the one that mainstream media decided to use to kind of like bridge that gap. It was different than like Charli D'Amelio or Emma Chamberlain. They were invited into the mainstream by like high fashion brands and were coming in as like influencers slash celebrities and weren't really working it. They were more like the faces of the brands, while Chris Olsen was coming in at all these events like working it, being like the social media person designated to post stuff on social media about these events, as opposed to like Emma isn't like posting her like at these like Met Gala parties, you know? Chris is like more of like a collaborator. So there are instances of internet famous people breaking into the mainstream, like Shawn Mendes started on Vine, Troye Sivan started on YouTube. I feel like Addison Rae is becoming a celebrity now. Like, Addison started on TikTok, but now she's at the fucking Sweat Tour, and like Diet Pepsi was one of like the biggest songs of the summer. But like I kind of said beforehand, Chris Olsen was the first influencer to break into mainstream celebrity, but like for like being an influencer. Like I said before, Chris is the go-to influencer for all like mainstream celebrities or their teams who understand that the internet / our phones have become essentially extensions of ourselves, and being popular / having an internet presence is almost equally as important as having a mainstream presence for the grand majority of celebrities, i.e. why he's delivering coffee to people like Jessica Chastain. He's another version of the right place at the right time. If social media was where it is today, 10 years ago, instead of Chris Olsen, it would have been like Tyler Oakley at the Cannes Film Festival and at the Oscars, like posting content and shit. And we would have seen like Tyler Oakley collabing with A-list celebrities. So all in all, I think Chris Olsen's career demonstrates three main things. One, it takes a lot of hard work to stay relevant on an app like TikTok for 4 years. The fact that he's been able to grow and evolve and fit the trends and stay relevant, like he started as a couple's TikTok channel and no one even really like thinks about like Ian like 4 years later, like he is really become his own thing. The fact that he was like able to grow and evolve and stay relevant without really getting in any scandals, like that fucking revenge porn thing was not a real, like it was a real scandals and like that was like something that he got like canceled for, but it wasn't like he did something bad or wrong. It was just like the internet trolls like wanting to like get mad at him or something. Two, celebrities are becoming influencers / content creators and are getting help from influencers to help boost their mainstream presence. And in the case of Meghan Trainor, it can help completely revive a career. And three, internet celebrity is almost equal to mainstream celebrity at this point. There obviously is still a gap, but that gap is closing, and has really closed a lot since the pandemic started. So, funny thing, I wrote this script like a couple of weeks ago, and then at the end of this I write, oh my god, does that mean that politics is gonna be next? And then fucking like a week later, Trump starts using like Bryce Hall to like promote his campaigns and shit, and Kamala with like the whole Kamala HQ and shit. Even politics is like really seeping to the mainstream. Again, we saw that last decade a little bit with like Lozelle, Hank Green, and Bethany Moda asking like Obama questions. In 2016, we had Connor Franta asking a question at the debate.
Getting my generation's vote should be a priority for any presidential candidate. Now, I know Senator Sanders is pretty popular among my peers, but what I want to know is how are all of you planning on engaging us further in this election?
Thanks for the question, and congratulations on 5 million viewers on YouTube.
But again, it was nowhere near last decade where it is now. Like we had AOC fucking streaming with Hassan Piker. We have Donald Trump going on Logan Paul's podcast. We have Bryce Hall like posting for Donald Trump because the Republican Party paid him, according to Tana. And obviously, like the Kamala HQ account really helping Kamala like get support from the youths, just like Obama did back in 2008, being the first candidate to really use the internet to his advantage. Also, while I was editing this video, Kamala Harris went on the Call Her Daddy podcast. So if politicians are getting super involved in mainstream social media now, does this mean in a couple of years Pete Buttigieg is going to be running for president in the bathtub with the Austin show? Like, move over Bill Clinton and his saxophone. Now we got shirtless Pete Buttigieg. Here we go, 2032. Hey! Okay. Bye.